Kia ora, bonjour. Je m'appelle Virginie Deleu, je suis une architecte d'entreprise, je travaille pour le gouvernement de la Nouvelle-Zélande. Je suis de Belgique. J'ai travaillé pour grandes entreprises et mené des fusions d'entreprises partout dans le monde avant de venir en Nouvelle-Zélande. I'm going to switch to English as it will be easier for me to explain what we're doing around digital government. In 2013, the government introduced an all-of-government strategy and action plan, which laid out the foundation for improving outcomes for and services for New Zealanders. Begin 2016, I was asked to design a digital government of the future. The first things I did was setting up work sessions with students of Victoria University here in Wellington. I'm a guest lecturer here. Get the public involved through forums and talk to all levels within government agencies. There were a few major messages that came out of those sessions. People want to interact with the government as a whole. They do not want to do research and find out and to search which agency provides which services. They also want to interact with the government in a more modern way and get notified if they are entitled to services. The government needs to align their services better around the needs and the lives of their citizens. This means that the government needs to have that information to provide those services in this way. It also means that we need a lot of analytics behind it. This year, the New Zealand government has renewed their Better Public Services program to help agencies with their transformation and create the right environment for individuals, communities and businesses to prosper with the new digital government. If we, as a government, want to serve our customers better, we need to know which journeys and events can happen along the way and which services can help them in their journey. So these are all the journeys Sapporo went through. We capture who is involved, individual or organization, what action that has been taken, what information asset that came out of it, and which system was used. Let's zoom in from the start of Sapporo getting born. So even in those blocks, we have information, who is involved, the action, and the information asset. So she gets born, birth certificate details are recorded at DIA, the Department of Internal Affairs. Her health records, her before school journeys, birth and marriage records, primary school, aggregate roll records, funding, hearing tests, dental records, school reports, attendance records, internal and external assessments, achievements, MIT enrollment, submissions, funding, qualifications, diploma of engineering, her new qualifications, future career flexibilities, permanent job offer, her skills, and where she is now, student loan payment, taxes, employment, job retention, and so on. Sorry. Through our research, we identified 33 journeys that individuals, communities, businesses, and government go through. For journeys for individuals can be having children, education, employment, relationship, end of life, being a victim, being accused, health, immigration, and so on. For businesses, starting a business, getting a license to sell alcohol, import-export journeys, expanding your business overseas. Communities is starting up a community, organizing events, managing your members. Government journeys can be election, war, aid, international relationships, new laws, and so on. So all those journeys contain a lot of events. Events are things that can happen through a journey to move it forward or to change direction. We currently have identified around 2,000 events, and each have one or more services. These are all the journeys, the events, the services, and the providers, whether it is public or private sector. I've filtered out one journey, which is traveling. So the journey is traveling, the events are apply for a passport, the travel concessions, travel information, passport control, custom inspection, road transport information, vehicle events, and so on. So each event has services hanging onto it, and who the provider is. What we did is, for each of those services, we added the URL, so we easily can go to that service online. Every event has the same pattern, whether the event is initiated by the individual, community, business, or government. So there's always a research that needs to be done, planning, control and criteria, contact, then you apply or you end it. There's a check that needs to be done. There can be additional information requested. It gets approved or declined. Something gets done, and then there's the end. An example of an event for an individual is getting a driver's license. So that person needs to do some research, needs to plan when he or she wants that driver's license, need to make sure the controls and criteria are right, needs to contact the organization who can provide a driver's license. You apply or you end it. When you apply, there's a check. There's a request for additional information. For instance, the results of an exam is an additional information. If that person hasn't done an exam yet, then that triggers another event which goes through the same pattern. Once that is done, it gets approved or declined. When it's approved, the person can start driving, and then at the end the driver's license gets expired or revoked. An example of an initiation from government want to start a campaign to improve the living environment of vulnerable children. And there needs to be a research done. You need to plan. There's a lot of controls and criteria that needs to be corrected. A lot of contact with people and organizations to help out with the campaign. There is the apply is the process within the government to get that that campaign ongoing. There's a check if everything's in place for that campaign. It gets approved or declined. If it's approved, the campaign gets executed, and at the end the results get published. The banners get taken away, contracts and payments need to be done, and so on. So that's an example of an event for a government. We added services to one or more of those phases within those patterns. That's why events have one or more services hanging onto it. We also need to know what information flows through those services. Here are two examples. Validity of birth certificates, which is a service between DIA, which is the Department of Internal Affairs, and MSD, Ministry of Social Development. The information that goes through that service is full name, gender, birthplace, birth date, birth registration number, full name of parents. Another example is apply for a certificate of particulars, which is a certificate taxi drivers need to have. So that service goes from an individual to NZTA, which is the New Zealand Transport Agency. and information hanging on that service is full name, birth date, license number, phone number, postal address, and email address. To map those services to the customer, we need to know the criteria of the customer. Customers do not want to be boxed into a persona, so we treat customers as unique through their criteria. Criteria around individuals can be citizenship, EV, relationship, income, age, ethnicity, birthplace, language, gender, and so on. For communities, it can be, is it recognized community or not? Is it ad hoc? Is it a competitive community? Is it charity? What's the demographics around that community? What's the purpose of that community? For businesses, whether it is government or private sector, we need to know the type of business, what industry, what certifications they have, the size, the location, and so on. If we can link a service to a customer, we can push that service to the customer with their consent, of course, or provide it automatically. There are a few examples of journeys and events that are already implemented. Smart Start, for instance, provides services from 17 government agencies and a number of private providers to help parents plan the arrival of their children. Another example that's already implemented is Passports Online. That's an event. Come on. Yeah. So Passports Online, where you can apply for a new passport, renew your passport, get a passport for your children, and then you receive it within 2 or 3 days. Whether you're, yeah. So New Zealand is an early adopter of new disruptive technologies. Internationally, we are seen as a digital leader. We are one of the D5, so the Digital 5 Nations. It's a collection of top digital countries in the world. We chair the OECD. It's an e-leader forum that brings government CIOs, senior digital leaders, private sector leaders, civil society leaders, academia, together to talk about digital government. This concludes the first part of my presentation. In the second part, I will explain what needs to be set up within agencies. So what needs to happen to set up agencies so they can easily add their services to the new digital platform. Thank you.